So right now we're making water from air here in the booth, and soon we'll have water pitchers out and you'll be able to taste pure drinking water. And so what we do is we take the humidity out of the water, we pump air into the machine, it gathers the water that's in the air. This has 50 gallons of tanks underneath it. So we fill up the tanks and then we start filling up everything from that. We do a lot with the government, but this is the very first day that it's been open to the consumer market.
Oh, really?
So you're catching it early on. This unit's designed to go next to a house and generate all the water you need for a house. It can replace a well, it can replace city water, and we make bigger units that can do even more.
Passing Rouen Cathedral, something almost literally out of Jules Verne. This car can cruise at speeds of up to 70-odd miles an hour. On water. The energy factor, of course, is hydrogen, which, as any schoolboy knows, is contained in water in the ratio of 2 parts to 1 of oxygen. A formula described by Jules Verne more than 100 years ago. So what have we been waiting for? The engine can also power a generator, to provide light and heat. And what's more, it's pollution-free. The car's already run for well over 1,000 miles, and the promoters say the scheme is practical and a commercial proposition.
There's been a lot of heat around this question politically, which is, for a long time, student loan debt, federal student loan debt specifically, cannot be discharged through bankruptcy, and it's the one form of debt that can't. On the other hand, though, you now have direct bailouts. So in the last 3 years, right, the current U.S. administration has been doing a series of bailouts where they've been doing arbitrary top-down erasure of the debt, which, you know, and of course they call it, you know, they use this very clever word, forgiveness, which makes it sound wonderful. Of course, what it just means is it means other taxpayers, right? Other people are going to foot the bill for it. And that's always sensitive in the American system, at least, because, of course, the American polity is composed in part of people who went to college and in part who didn't. And so people who didn't go to college might not be so keen about having their tax money getting used to forgive, you know, student debt for non-productive degrees. And then honestly, there's also a moral hazard issue that comes up, which is among people who took on college debt, there's the people who paid it off versus the people who didn't. The people who paid it off don't get forgiven. And so then there's this weird incentives thing where it's like, well, okay, if this is the new way that it goes, then I'm a sucker if I pay off my own student loan debt, because in the future there will be another bailout. So anyway, so this has become like a pretty potent political issue. But I think underneath this is this question of like, okay, like, are all of these degrees and all of these institutions actually generating graduates who can actually command market wages that actually make this entire thing basically an economically and politically viable proposition?
Yeah, I think that's the question that is the thing we should be debating, because the whole forgiveness thing is insane in the sense that you're not actually addressing the real issue. It's the ultimate bandit. Yes, you're buying votes. Yes, you're giving some people relief. But the fundamental issue is it's now become clear that for a large swath of the population, college is not worth the money. You would not have a college student loan crisis if whatever you paid for college paid you back in the form of a job that was worth far more than the degree. Right. But what's happened is for a huge percentage of the degrees, the degree is worth less than the job. So it's, basically we as a society are running a scam and ripping off a huge percentage of our young people who are going to college with the clear expectation that they're going to get a higher quality job and being able to pay for college. But that's absolutely not the case. And that's the real issue. And if we don't address that, it doesn't, you could forgive this batch, but what about the next batch and the next batch and the next batch and the next batch? It's still not worth the money. And I think that's the great thing that has to be reckoned with. And that's a big, big issue, because tuition, the quality degree has got to be pretty hard to pay back, $300,000.